Garrison Price for Monday, November 24th, 2025. Presentation of Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer. Matt Sekeres alongside Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogers, and Hidden Switches, conducting things with intern Braden Coombs. How was your weekend?
Hold on. Too eventful. Just cut down the Christmas tree. Got the lights up.
Mm-hmm.
Really the only thing I can remember from the weekend.
Shout out and thank you to Paul Dolan and Adidas. They took us to the game on Saturday.
Yes, there was that.
We did go and attend a sporting event together Saturday, Blake. I'm glad it was as memorable for you as it was for me.
Honestly, Matt,
holy cow.
It is like I have to do a deeper reflection on what I have attended in my life. But my first gut instinct is to say it's top 5 sporting experiences of my life.
Yeah. And understand that we've been lucky enough to cover some of these too, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just as a fan, but going on press row. We will get to that in a second. We got a couple of Redwoods Golf Course poll questions rolling today because of the Whitecaps' big victory on Saturday. It was an amazing weekend to be a sports fan in Vancouver, with one notable exception. You know who that exception is. A 5-2 loss to the 31st placed team, the Calgary Flames. They are now 5 points out of a playoff spot with 6 teams to jump. Many of those 6 have games in hand on the Vancouver Canucks. We're asking you, is the season lost? You can vote yes. You can vote no. Do so at the Sekeres and Price X and YouTube channels. I voted no. It's just on the cusp for me, but this is a tough 4-game road trip. The 3 California teams and the league best Colorado Avalanche. So check back in a week here. This from Jay Fresh, and this was going into last night's game. He always posts these on Sunday morning. Expected goals against per 60. The Vancouver Canucks are worst in the National Hockey League. You see them down there on 32nd place at 3.07 goals against per 60. Look at Calgary was number 1 going into last night at 2.12. And expected goal percentage. This is at even strength. The Vancouver Canucks also dead last in the NHL in that category as well. They have been expected to get less than 42% of the even strength goals out there this season.
They can thank JT Miller and the New York Rangers for having the worst home record in the National Hockey League. The Vancouver Canucks now at 3-7-1. If it wasn't for the Rangers at 1-7-1, the Canucks could lay claim to that.
And poor JT Miller's out of the lineup now. Funny how that goes, huh? Like, they're playing poorly. He's playing poorly. He has a bad moment where I don't know if he was benched but deserved to be benched, and then he leaves the lineup.
He did score 2 goals the next game.
That's true.
So there was a bounce back. But
Canucks now 32nd and last in the NHL in both goals allowed at 86 and in goals per game, actual goals per game at 3.74. A couple of weeks ago, their general manager was on After Hours talking about, no, we're not going to rebuild. We think we're a couple of pieces away.
He can say that all he wants, but in terms of the poll question, he's going to be hard-pressed to make an argument for it because the raw data would suggest that for the Vancouver Canucks to jump above the bar now, jump above the 6 teams that are in between them and the playoff bar. So it's really jumping 7 teams to get into a playoff spot. With all their games in hand, like the Vancouver Canucks need to be the best team in the league over the course of the next 59 games to be exact. I think, to have a chance to make the playoffs. So, you can say, the math. Are you kidding me? There's 59 games left. Yeah, they could win a lot of those 59 games to make the playoffs on a pace commensurate with the Colorado Avalanche. Does this team look like they can play at the winning percentage of the Colorado Avalanche right now, who are .841, by the way? 16 wins.
One regulation loss.
One loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read something that they are further ahead of second place in the NHL than second place is to 20-something in the NHL because of how tightly.
Well, and the scariest stat I saw today, this is not part of Crave the Stats, by the way, but them with Makar and McKinnon on the bench sitting are spectacular.
It's not allowed. It's not fair.
So, we've seen that.
We're used to these big splits with or without Quinn Hughes.
With or without Connor McDavid. Oilers with McDavid. Yeah. Nope, they're fine.
Did you vote yes or did you vote no?
Yeah, I think their season's lost, yes.
The second poll that we're running with, and the one that should bring and that was kind of a dour way to start the show.
It was.
I apologize. Coming out of a big weekend. Was the Whitecaps win the most legendary win in Vancouver sports history? You can vote yes or no again at Secure Some Price.
We chose the word.
X.
We chose the word specifically because we know, the stanchion goal. That game is the biggest win maybe in Canucks history, right? To get them into the Stanley Cup.
Or Game 6 in the 94 final
94.
would be on that list as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's, those were bigger games. They're championship-related games to get in during all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But given the circumstances, we needed to find a better adjective that more encapsulated what we saw at BC Place. So we went with legendary.
I didn't quite get there. I'm counting Sidney Crosby's golden goal. It happened on Vancouver soil.
94 Grey Cup people brought up.
Louis' kick in the 94 Grey Cup, I think, has to be right up there because it brought a signature moment for a guy who had played more professional seasons in this city than anybody else in Louis Pasaglia. Not to mention it kept the American interlopers, the Barbarians, at the gate for one more year in the Grey Cup. That was a Canada-U.S. backdrop, first ever American team in the Grey Cup. Baltimore would go on to win the next year. And, of course, it came after an extraordinary, nobody thought it was coming, West final victory over Wally Buono, Doug Flutie, and the Calgary Stampeders, right? I mean, McManus to Flutie. BC's going to the Grey Cup. But, this one is certainly up there. It's easily the biggest soccer win that I've been a part of with a Vancouver team. Now, some of you may go back to 1979 and say the Soccer Bowl victory is more legendary. One thing I'll say that would detract from that is it did happen abroad, right? Like that win happened at a neutral venue, the Meadowlands in New Jersey, as opposed to here on home turf. But no, I mean, it's right up there. I mean, you mentioned some of the great Canucks wins, whether the stanchion goal, the Slay the Dragon goal, the wins against the Rangers in 94, or even the double overtime win in the Western Final in 94 over the Leafs to get to that Stanley Cup. I suppose you could even pick some of the three wins they got against Boston in the Cup.
The Slay the Dragon game was very similar to what we saw.
Well, that's it. Legend. Like it created a legend.
And it also duped you into thinking, okay, they're going to do it. And then a late goal casts doubt on it, right? And makes you think, oh, maybe the Canucks can't do this. And forces overtime.
Yeah. No, the proceedings went down similarly in terms of it was a game that looked like Vancouver had it at hand, and then dramatic sequences of events.
Yes.
You don't remember Game 1 against Chicago in 2011. The Hawks had pulled their goaltender but were shorthanded, so it was 5-on-5 with the goalie out when Taves went behind the net, fished out the puck, and suddenly the Blackhawks had an equalizer, and we were heading to overtime. So, yes, the collapse was right there at hand for both the Canucks in 2011 and for the Caps on Saturday night, but they got the job done.
There's something different in whatever sport you're watching. There's something different than just a tidy 4-2 victory, no questions asked, versus we're winning. We're going to do it. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Oh, we're sunk. Oh, we're winning. Those kinds of emotional roller coasters stick with you so much more.
Absolutely. Than
just a tidy victory.
Well, and I think the other thing that adds to quote unquote legend, as big as and raucous as a sold out hockey crowd can be, of course, in a closed environment, there's 54,000 people at BC Place on Saturday, everyone. I mean, that itself was
I elbowed you and
right?
I said, look at the nooks and crannies in the
unreal.
top deck. I was like, everybody is in every seat. Like it was like there were times when I've been in that stadium, Matt, where I've looked up and gone, I wonder when the last time a human sat in that seat that I'm looking at. And now I don't have to wonder. It's
Section
happened twice.
444, row ZZ.
Yeah, that's right. Like, when's the last time there was a human, another four-legged creature? Yes, but a human.
Yeah.
And now we know there's been a couple of times this year.
It was great to see the building full again, right?
Yeah.
The Messy game earlier this year, last year's Grey Cup. Lions put very good crowds into their home openers now with the big concert, but it was amazing to see BC Place at its full capacity yet again, and its full-throated capacity, and everybody was into that match from the drop. It was...
And I'll say this, Matt, you brought up, what the Lions have done with their home openers. There's been a bunch of occasions now with the Whitecaps lately. Kudos to you, the sports fan here. You've shown up, to non-Canucks related. Like, it's one thing to show up for the Canucks, but you have shown up to non-Canucks related, and the Goldeneyes we're going to get to in a second as well. You've shown up. Like, good for you. Like, we need this as a part of our fabric in this city, and you've made it happen. So bravo.
Our friends at the Redwoods do custom corporate events unlike anybody else. Why don't you have your next event there at the golf course? Why don't you take advantage of the heated and covered driving range? You'll be able to stay warm, hit some golf balls. Their lead teaching professional, Craig, you can bring him on in for a little instruction, have some fun with your guests, some food and beverage afterwards. And if you're a parent of a child age 6 to 16, set them up for the sport of a lifetime. Private and semi-private lessons available. Go to redwoods-golf.com. We'll get to our top story, brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. They all do their part, except the Canucks. One of the biggest, most historic and thrilling weekends in Vancouver sports history sees Where Were You moments Friday and Saturday. And where were you? Second period from the Vancouver Canucks that leads to another loss. Vancouver Whitecaps FC with one of the most improbable wins in our city's sports history. They blow a 2-goal lead. They're down 2 men. They're hanging on by fingernails against the flagship franchise and bitter rival. And yet somehow they pull off a win on penalties to beat LA and advance to the MLS's Western Conference Final. I think it goes down with Pavel Bure's debut, Alex Burrows slaying the Dragon, Louis' kick to win the home Grey Cup, even Sydney's golden goal as a all-time Vancouver sporting moment. Sold out BC Place, 54,000 experience the highs and lows of a dramatic match and leave with the belief that the Caps can win a championship. They'll play Saturday in the Western Final against either Minnesota or San Diego. Still have a chance to host that game. More on that later in the show.
Yeah, and NYCFC with an upset that allows that possibility for MLS Cup as well, but crossing every bridge first before you start thinking about that and departing BC Place with chance of the, like, I'm telling you, I was out in the rain, still hearing the buzz of the fans. Like, just incredible.
Yeah.
Just absolutely incredible.
Sure.
And, the way the Canucks season is unfolding, I think sports fans need this.
We need it. We absolutely need it.
Yeah.
And the other thing we needed, women's professional hockey.
Yes.
Goldeneyes said that Friday night felt like a movie, and they turned it into one. A 100-second video published on social media that you really should check out if you missed the match. An OT win over the expansion cousins / geographic rival Seattle.
A comeback.
A third-period comeback, a late goal to force overtime, a sold-out Pacific Coliseum, 15,000 in the joint for a memorable inaugural win in the PWHL.
Sarah Nurse involved too, which is nice, sort of the face of the team,
And for many, I mean, especially women who have devoted themselves to this sport, not always felt welcome, this was a watershed night and experience. Professional women's hockey now embedded into the community, a commercial audience on hand enjoying it, and a happy ending to set the hook with all those fans, especially the younger ones. If you were there Friday at the Pacific Coliseum, there is no doubt you will be back for another Goldeneyes game at some point along the line. You mentioned Sarah Nurse, one of the Canadian Olympians on this team. She scores the first goal in Goldeneyes history, so she'll always have that. And then afterwards, she had this to say, when you walk into the Pacific Coliseum, you're coming to see the Goldeneyes. And I think that's something that's so special. I think it's something that the fans have really embraced, to see the amount of jerseys and merch in the stands. I took a second to look around the entire arena, and it just seemed like everybody had a piece of Goldeneyes merch. Those team colors are absolutely striking. Beautiful.
Very unique.
Perfect, unique combination of colors, sets them apart from everybody else.
Our friend Joe Hall posted the picture of the team store at the end of the game. Place looked like it had been looted.
Yep.
So not
the support was there. It was palpable. It was visible.
And people were spending to support. Again,
absolutely.
Showing up is one thing, and then going to the team store and adorning yourselves in the colors. It's tremendous. I was hosting a year-end wrap party for our high school field hockey team on Friday night when the game's going on, and I thought, I'm going to put this game on in the background. And I tell you, the girls were watching all of it. That's
great.
And I'm getting requests now. Oh, we should go to the game. We should go to the next one. And unfortunately, it's not for a while. December the 6th, the next time they're back at home. 3-game roadie coming up for the Goldeneyes. But there's excitement. And it's a unique atmosphere. It is a good price point.
Yep.
And I think they're going to do just fine, even though there's no SkyTrain service out there.
Yeah, I like this from our colleague Lachlan Irvin of Canucks Army. Between the Caps, the Goldeneyes, the Rise winning the NSL championship last week. Lest we forget, Vancouver's having a real sports renaissance right now.
Yeah.
You truly love to see it. Yeah, you sure do.
And the Rise were on hand for the Whitecaps game, by the way. And I wonder if there was a little
huge
inspiration.
Ovation before the game. I mean, it was massive.
Not like a tepid little golf clap. They got cheered off the pitch. It was great.
Well, and the reciprocity there, right? The Whitecaps were out there supporting the Rise in their big playoff matches, semifinal before they had to leave for the final. And there were the Rise, and people want that. They want that community goodwill. That reaching out and building bridges across sports fans, across sports teams.
And Matt, the hockey team even tweeted about it.
That's right.
Good for them.
Then there's the Canucks facing one of the worst teams in the NHL. They become one of the worst teams in the NHL with a 5-2 loss on home ice against the Calgary Flames. Flames were on a second of a back-to-back as well. I think that's
and 3 and 4, I believe.
Cross.
Yeah.
Trailing 2-1 after opening the scoring. Trailed 2-1 in the second. Canucks crumble. They get outscored 2-buzz in the middle period. They're outshot 10-6. They're outchanced 5-1. They're out high-dangered 4-0 as J-Pat tallied it. He'll join us in a moment. Here's the captain, Quinn Hughes, on the game getting away.
Obviously, they're in the second period. I don't know if... we took 3 power plays there. One over the, they had 3 power plays. One over the glass there. That happens, unsportsmanlike. Really good first, and just fell apart there in the second a little bit.
Was almost going to comment on the unsportsmanlike taken by Evander Kane and then just move. Right. Not that it cost him on the score sheet. Calgary scores 5 straight in this game. Hughes has that end-to-end rush quickly after it becomes 5-1.
Which almost makes it worse, man.
I was going to say, Blake, in regular times that produces amazement, and look at the wonder goal from Quinn Hughes. But on this night, it's just more frustration. Like, look at how easy that was for him. How more of that, please?
Well, and the fact that he has no celebration, he's stone-faced as he makes the goal. it actually got awkward for me when I
Yep.
watched that, and I'm like, holy crap, he's so mad. He just did that all by himself.
Yeah.
And he's probably looking around going, anybody else? Anybody else got anything?
Anyone? Bueller?
Like, whew.
And how about this from Noah Strang? The Canucks now have a greater chance of landing the first overall pick, 10.3%, than they have making the playoffs at 6.1%, that according to Moneybuck.
And that's what people are going to circle and say, so then lean into that one. And Matt, do you think they're at all closer to coming to that conclusion? Or do you think they are going to go down swinging before Christmas?
Nope. I could see a lateral trade, a rearranging of the deck chairs to try and fool people, try and keep the dream alive. I do not think you are going. I've mentioned this before, Blake. I don't think you have an ownership and a management group that is willing to consider rebuild until we get closer to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And they have to give up the ghost. Reality is not something that's particularly acute at Rogers Arena. This is a out-of-touch franchise with out-of-touch messengers, a poor direction and vision set by its leadership team or ownership group. And I think all of that is coming home to roost.
And I think the home record is feeding into that mentality, Matt, because I think they're going to convince themselves, no, look, we're playing great on the road. Our road record's totally fine. We will get better at home.
Yep.
That home record will adjust itself.
We heard this last year.
Yeah.
And the home record did not adjust itself.
Right.
The bigger story here for my 2 cents, and I saw a bunch of this last night from many of you Canucks fans, but the bigger story here is I expected anger last night, and instead I got apathy. I was with a couple of friends of ours, Blake, visited them Saturday with the Whitecaps. And we were talking about the Flames game, and I said, guys, if it gets bad, I see this as a jersey hitting the ice in protest sort of night. But down 4-1 after 2 periods, the crowd doesn't boo. I thought they'd be booed off the ice.
Yeah.
Down 5-2 late in the third, I thought, okay, here it comes. Jersey's going to hit the ice at any moment. No, not so much. The arena crowd goes quietly into the night, much like the home team. I saw Bruff's tweet here. Man, the fans just took that, eh? No booing at the end of a 5-2 loss to Calgary? Did they all leave early? Is it apathy? Did we use up all our booing at the ref in the Whitecaps game?
Yeah, I think that fans are actually shocked, some of them. The casual fans that didn't see the possibility of this coming might be shocked.
And there are a number of those. And we heard from them through October, why are you guys being so critical? They're only a couple of points back. No. And there were some fair points, don't get me wrong. But there was a see no evil, hear no evil. Last year was an outlier, and you just watch this team will be back competing in the Stanley Cup playoffs like they were a couple of years ago. And if that dream isn't entirely dead, it's hanging on by a thread now. And unlike the Desjardins era, where I think even a casual hockey fan could look at it, size it up, and go, okay, they're just bad on paper and are going to struggle to win games. This one is a different kind of disappointment, I think, because of 2 years ago. And Blake, we said it. We said it when they went on that run in the bubble playoffs of 2020. Could be the worst thing that happened in the franchise because it convinced them that they were better than they were.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was.
And 2 years ago, too.
2 years ago is looking like it fits into the same neat and tidy box.
Although there's
could be the worst thing that happened to them because it convinced them, and particularly their ownership and management group, that they were closer to being a contender than they actually were.
I think there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, though, with vis-a-vis Miller.
They would argue
Paterson.
that. Yep, they would argue that.
It doesn't excuse them, though. I mean, again, people, I know you're sick and tired of hearing more expensive not to.
Yeah.
But if Filipino is a missing third line center, I like the Canucks' chances of being like an average team for the duration that he's out. If they've got another second-line center right now that is helping out this team. Because then maybe they don't take the chances that they're currently taking to score goals. Right now, they're getting awfully close to Bruce Boudreau here. And are they surprising us with the amount of goals they're scoring? Yeah, they are. But they're also completely caved in defensively, and that is a surprise to us.
Big surprise.
And maybe they wouldn't be playing like this. Maybe Adam Foote would be locking things down a little bit more if they just had more natural God-given ability to score and didn't have to rely so heavily on these cheats.
Yeah.
On the pushing forward of the defensemen and exposing what's behind them.
Well, and that is the scariest part, is this team went from one of the best team defense, 6-man unit defensive clubs in the league 2 years ago to whatever we're seeing this year.
And they were dreadful offensively.
And honestly,
we hated the way they chipped and chased and all that sort of stuff. So they changed all that. They became a way more exciting offensive team. But they were unable to hold on to any of their defensive acumen.
And if you did want to get back up to the top, perhaps entrusting a rookie NHL head coach was the wrong idea, right? Like, I know you knew him and you liked him and you maybe didn't feel as comfortable because you didn't have the personal relationships with other potential head coaching candidates. But you were the only team in the NHL that was going to hire Adam Foote for this post.
Yeah.
And it's not like you cast the greatest, widest net. You just, it was almost like, oh, Biden can't go? Let's go with her. Kamala Harris. Yeah. You got your Kamala Harris here. Not a great candidate, and it's showing. Canucks now 9-12-2, heading out on a 4-game trip through California and League Best Colorado. They have 2 regulation wins in their last 17, and as Blake noted, they are 3-7-1 on home ice this year.
So very bad. You know what will pick up your spirits? Yellow Dog. Yellow Dog will pick up your spirits, and they've got a new beer. This is something to get excited about. New beer coming out tomorrow. The Big Kappa Copper Ale. 10 years deep, still keeping it smooth. Yellow Dog Brewing, collabing with the Jeff O'Neill Show, legendary Seahawks DJ. They're keeping it smooth together. This is a copper ale, pouring rich and golden brown, smooth malt backbone, touch of caramel sweetness, just enough hop bite to keep it real. It's balanced, it's bold, it goes down easier than your favorite 90s beats. If you don't know, now you know. The beer that is worth sipping.
DJ.
Yeah.
We're going back there.
What
morning
host?
Man, more a host, yeah.
That's been the
Shout
tradition.
out to Jeff and his peeps. They occasionally do a Tell Me I'm Wrong. And when I met him last year, and the first time I met him face to face, he said, "Man, I hope you don't mind, but we do a Tell Me I'm Wrong." I said, No, we've long stopped doing it. But here in my mentions, Omar, tell me I'm wrong. Last night's game against Calgary was this season's breaking point, and it just might be the 14-year breaking point for most Canucks fans. Can't tell you you're wrong, Omar.
And again, as per this entire segment here to start the show, this comes at a really bad time for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, yeah, because other teams are winning.
And other teams are entertaining.
Yes.
And other teams are cheaper.
And other teams are providing value. And other teams engage with their customers and the community more effectively.
And
than
other
Canucks
teams have
Sports
stars
Entertainment.
that people want to relate to.
Well, that are likable, too.
Yeah, there's a real identity problem here for the Canucks.
Absolutely. Let's get into Crave the Stats, brought to you by Uber Eats. And we're going to shout out a new colleague of ours here, Daniel Wagner, ex of Vancouver is Awesome. Saw Daniel last week at Patrick Johnson's book launch for Gino, the new book. And we're going to get him on the show here at some point over the next couple of weeks. But I saw he penned his first column for Canucks Army.
And it was giving some props for a guy that doesn't get a lot of props because he doesn't do media, per our last statement.
But he's been outstanding.
But he's been good.
Especially, honestly, Phil Roenick, my hat is off to him. That is a tough son of a gun, man.
And that was
a
a hell of a
lot
goal.
of crap, and it was.
It was a hell of a goal, stops and pops. And his performance right now at 5-on-5 is shattering the opposition in the bottom line category, and that is are you just on the ice for more goals at 5-on-5 than the other guy? And the answer is Filip Chytil by a long shot. There are
by miles. Look at this.
3 guys above the 50-50 ledger, 2 guys by 1 goal, and then it's Filip Hronek by 9 goals.
Good on him.
Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, so 64.5% of the goals that he's been on the ice for
that are
have been Canucks goals.
Yeah.
Garland at 53, Ratu just below 53.
And hey, it's shocking to see the guy in the number 8 slot.
Oh, boy, for sure. Quinn?
That's a first-timer sort of thing for him to see him that far down. But full credit, again, to Filip Hronek because he's rising to the occasion right now. And you should rise and make sure you download the Uber Eats app because on game days, if the team isn't winning, at least you'll be well fed.
Yep.
At least you can be a good host. So get the game day specials, download the app, and you'll be the most popular guy in the room as you watch your next game. Crave the Stats, brought to you by Uber Eats.
So, here's the good news about the Vancouver Canucks. This caught my eye. Our buddy Rob Williams, the Daily Hive. The Canucks are lowering some ticket prices after raising them heading into the year. We had a discussion about this late last week. The Canucks were actually not 1, not 2, but the 3rd most expensive ticket in town this weekend. That's because the resale market for the Whitecaps playoff game and for the Goldeneyes inaugural game was more expensive. The get-in price was more expensive than the Canucks game.
On the secondary market, yeah.
Yeah, on the secondary. But that's where you see the demand, right?
Yes, that's
a
where you
better
get the
gauge of
yeah.
demand. I told you last week, I had a buddy go to the Dallas game for a pair of tickets, $160, $80 a pop in the lower bowl. It is becoming a soft market for Canucks home games. All the losing they've done at home. Another team that looks like it's not up to snuff. Outright refusal of ownership to rebuild. Management effectively laughing at their fans. No, we don't need a rebuild. We're a couple of pieces away. Well, careful, fellas. More losing, second straight poor season, and now they're backtracking. Daily Hive reporting a letter emailed to season ticket members this week, including half-season, quarter-season ticket members, saying, quote, "We've received valuable feedback from our season ticket members about the cost of purchasing additional tickets for games outside of their membership package throughout the season." In other words, people saw the ticket prices on the resale market, called up their account rep with Canucks Sports Entertainment and screamed bloody murder.
Yeah.
The letter continues. "We've listened carefully and are making some adjustments to closer align with the pricing of your membership seats." Well, tickets have been available on the resale market all season long and often
on the primary
cheaper than the face value being paid by season ticket subscribers.
But even more amazing to me, Matt, is every single game there is tickets available on the primary market.
Yeah. You can buy them at Source, Ticketmaster, or you can buy them on the resale market. But Blake, the thing is, the resale market is actually pricing them below.
Totally. But I mean, we are months, years removed, just a couple from being lucky to find games at the box office, period.
That's right.
Primary or secondary.
Basically, the low demand and soft market here had season ticket members looking like suckers. Oh, you paid full freight for these tickets and you bought the full season or a half season or a quarter season?
A fan responding to us here, high flying on Twitter. My MLS Cup tickets, if we host, are $44.25 ticket face value, $88.50 for the pair for MLS Cup. My Canucks season tickets, third cheapest category, are over $7,500. So people, I think, are just looking at this and going, "Why am I making this investment right now with the direction of this team so in flux?" Like, who's renewing their Canucks tickets next year? Unless you've got it as a business write-off or something that you just need to.
I know a few people who just love live
the
NHL
ceremony.
hockey.
Yeah.
One of them has a 12, 13-year-old, so the perfect age to take in all of this, and they love going to games, win, lose, or draw.
which is something because there's a lot of losing.
But
there's significantly less fun nights out when they lose. Significant.
I met a huge hockey fan Saturday. A couple of our buddies that I went and visited during the Whitecaps game. He told me he hadn't been to a Canucks game in 2 years. Won't.
Yeah.
It feels icky being there.
Yeah. Well, that's another reason.
So as Williams and the Daily Hive report, they're dropping prices for single game tickets for members. The Leafs game. This is the most in-demand game all year, right?
Yeah.
Last row of Section 316. You want to buy, if you want to buy a pair, $577. They're offering that now to season ticket members for $328.
I mean, it's not insignificant, the savings, but it's also
huge.
But it's also not cheap.
No,
it's still very expensive.
And as Rob points out, the Canucks are still averaging $18,834 per game. That's 99.6% capacity. I do think it's been a reasonably successful program, just anecdotally, is the last-minute student rush where they've made the tickets available for those with valid student IDs at a cheaper rate.
I do wonder how
get
many...
some of those fans in that demo into the
I'm
building.
not there, but I mean, I wonder, are there 99,000 butts in seats every night, though? Like, how many brokers are sitting on tickets at the end of every night?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and that stat crosser, that phenomenon cuts across all of sport, but it particularly cuts across the NHL.
Well, and just in a losing market, like in a hot market, the brokers are rarely sitting on tickets. They'll move most of them by hook or by crook.
Yeah.
Now, without demand, pretty tough.
Yep. Roster moves from the Vancouver Canucks today, and we foreshadowed this last week when Yuri Patera got lit up for 7 goals against Florida. That may well have been his last game as a Canuck. That may well have been his last game as a National Hockey League goaltender. Of course, he only got that start because Nikita Tolopilo was injured with the Abbotsford Canucks and unable to come up and serve as Thatcher Demko's replacement on the roster. Well, Tolopilo's now healthy. He has been called up. Patera has been sent back to AHL Abbotsford. Do you think Tolopilo plays one of these back-to-back games in Southern California or in California on the weekend? It's the Sharks Friday, a 1 p.m. game, everybody. It's Black Friday in the U.S., so a matinee start. They're in Anaheim Wednesday, San Jose Friday, then back down to Los Angeles on Saturday.
Having been more recently in the AHL, Tolopilo, they play weird game times in the AHL on their weekend trips. I would bet Tolopilo plays next Friday on that 1 p.m. puck drop.
We're going to have Jeff Paterson join us here in a few moments, but practice has gone awfully long today, and they were still waiting on the head coach as of about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if you see any commentary from Adam Foote yet. It was an interesting practice down at Rogers Arena. There was an extended session on the whiteboard to begin practice. We will get J-Pat on and have him do some of the translation for us. There was also a shootout practice at the end of the session, and that's good process. You do want to occasionally go through that exercise to make sure you're ready to go come shootout. Blake also joked there's a little chance they're going to win games in regulation, so the shootout becomes
2 in their last 17 games.
More important. There was also a bit of a skate at the end of practice. A little rinse. No one looked like they were taking it all that hard.
Back to that stat, though, Matt. Like that is, again, an indicator of where this team is at. 2 regulation wins. Like, if you are still one of the few casuals left holding on to hope, no, this is a playoff team, why are you guys writing them off? The best indicator of how you play the sport of hockey is your ability in the 60 minutes prescribed for the sport. That's how good you are. That's a good indicator. Now, the points is a different kind of game to get you into the playoffs, but how good are you really? It's regulation time. And the Canucks have 2 wins in the last 17 games in regulation time. Like, it's incredible. They are They are sunk for the poll question. It is over. And
they have been better on the road. If they go out and get some road wins here, they could keep the dream alive, I suppose. Well, I mean, we've got a minute here, so Blake, you say they're cooked. Okay. So Utah's on the final playoff spot at 25 points. Above them is the Kings at 26, and then you get in the Pacific Division qualifiers, Vegas 27.
and
Seattle,
all of those teams get to play 2
28.
or 3 games to equal where the Canucks are at 20. Or the Canucks are only at 23, pardon me.
Yeah.
1 or 2 games.
Yeah, Vegas has 2 games in hand. Everybody else on that list has 1 game in hand. And every team except for the Edmonton Oilers that the Canucks are chasing in the wild card proceedings also has at least 1 game in hand on the Canucks, if not a couple.
Not everybody's going to win that game in hand, but half of them are. So add 2 points to half of the teams that you see.
Yeah, because Utah's on 25 points on the final playoff spot, but San Jose and Edmonton are also on 25 points. They're just below the bar right now because they have played more games. Chicago and Winnipeg are 4 points better than the Canucks. Vancouver is tied with St. Louis at 20 points. I mean, we were talking about the Blues and Doug Armstrong already saying, right, we're open for business.
And they're above the Canucks.
And they're above the Canucks now because they have played 1 fewer game and have the same number.
455 points percentage to 435, yeah.
So it's going to be most difficult. They're going to have to get it on an awfully good run, and yes, they're going to have to keep their head above water on this upcoming road trip, but also the other trips that are happening through the month of December. And they do play, a good number of home games in December, but they have a pretty daunting trip as well. And it's an Eastern trip that goes through the New Jersey Devils, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, the Boston Bruins on a second of a back-to-back, and our old friend Rick Tocchet and the Philadelphia Flyers. So they got a 5-game Eastern road trip coming up in the middle of December. This is after getting a 4-game homestand following this 4-game road trip. Our next opportunity to see where the market's at for the Canucks comes Friday, December 5th. They host the Utah Mammoth, and then they're back home the next night against the Minnesota Wild as well. We'll get into those. We'll get into those games as they become a little closer. We'll get into this road trip a little later in the week. J-Pat still needs some time here, I'm being told, because Adam Foote continues to speak at the podium, so he's going to join us in a moment. Let's get into our menu then. It is brought to you by Greta, a fantastic spot to catch all the games home and away, a particularly good spot to pregame or postgame because you are mere steps from the arena or the stadium. And if you're booking an event, be it an office work party, holiday party, right? It's that time of year. Why don't you check out Greta? They have the fantastic street food menu. The birria tacos are amongst my favorite, plus the arcade that encircles the bar, air hockey, pop the shot, a game for everyone, new school games, old school games. Your group will absolutely love it. Check it all out. Go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Jeff will join us here in a moment. We spoke with Axel Schuster, Vancouver Whitecaps FC CEO and sporting director. Needless to say, he had a good weekend, although he did joke it aged him a little bit having to watch all those proceedings. We talked to Axel about, Saturday's game, everything that has happened this season, point forward to the big questions surrounding the Whitecaps. Can they find a new owner? Can they find an investor? Will they get a better lease arrangement at BC Place and be able to stay there a little longer term? Plus, we check in. I mean, Axel's a German, too. We wanted to get word from him. Okay, so when you call back home, when you look back home to Germany and everything that Thomas Müller is doing here in the brave new world, what's the conversation like? And, if it's not a spoiler, Germany is with the Vancouver Whitecaps, to say the least,
it's
because of the presence of Thomas Müller.
Our comments on our YouTube feed of the Müller interview that we did span the globe, but in particular, the German respondents.
Well, they love him.
A lot of them are saying, I was never a Bayern fan, but we're all Thomas Müller fans because of what he did for country, right? So he and his character. So, yeah, Germany is keeping track of what's happening here.
That's right.
which is kind of weird for a Whitecaps fan, I would think, because another country watching what you do.
I mean, we'll play the little video that Thomas Müller shot post-game on Saturday night and put out to all his followers, and there are millions of them across this world. But, I mean, I can understand, because even in a second language, Blakey comes off as just a genuine, authentic, nice guy who's in it for a larger constituency than just him and himself.
Yeah.
Like he just gets it and practices. And not just that he gets it. Some of them get it. They don't practice it. He's a money where your mouth is guy. He gets it and he practices it in terms of, no, this team is for the community. He told us last week he feels like he plays better and is able to give more out there on the pitch when he's more embedded and attuned to the community. You know, he mentioned at one point when he showed up here that, Vancouver it just accepts losing too much.
It's true. He was surprised by that.
He's not a loser. He's a winner. He's here to win.
Well, and to hear him talk about the intensity of the match, this is a guy that has been there and done that a million times over in world soccer. And he's in our house saying how intense that was. It's pretty cool. Like, it's a pinch yourself sort of moment when it's a legitimizing moment. And I know the MLS wants to believe that they are past that, but it is.
We got a few moments here because Jeff is going to join us. He's still delayed. They're waiting on still waiting on Adam Foote. Boy, I wonder what's going on here at Rogers Arena.
Yeah.
What's with the freeze out here of Adam Foote?
I mean, it sounds like a team meeting.
I was going to say, is this a team talking point session? Okay, Adam, you're going out to meet the media. Here's what we want you to say. Is there more to the story?
Or is this a kumbaya moment involving everybody?
Mike? Jeff just said they have been told a couple times, just need a couple minutes.
Okay.
It hasn't started yet.
Incidentally, something we missed last week when talking about that Dallas game and the beautiful spinorama goal from Mikko Rantanen to ice that Dallas Stars victory on Thursday here at Rogers Arena. And somebody texted us yesterday and said, guys, did you notice anything about that Mikko Rantanen goal the other night? And I texted back, the only thing that I remember or recognize was that Quinn Hughes got caught up ice, and it was Brock Besser in a defenseman's posture, as though he was the left defenseman covering for Hughes, who Rantanen chose to, pull the spinorama on, which was probably
the right defenseman?
Which was probably the right choice because, you had a forward backing up there as opposed to a defenseman, so you were more likely to be able to execute the move. And for Rantanen to make that decision in real time that's why he's the world-class player that he is. And now I guess he's getting suspended after another pushing somebody into the boards from behind example this week from Mikko Rantanen. But getting back to his goal against the Canucks, somebody sent it to us and said, guys, what do you recognize? And then when they showed the broad picture, for one, the Canucks had 6 skaters on the ice.
For a significant amount of time.
Like, it's really surprising, actually, that 2 referees and 2 linesmen missed that.
Like 6 to 10 seconds, maybe, of 6 guys out there, and nobody in transition.
Then
like
all of a
all
sudden,
playing.
Then all of a sudden, the Canucks bench and the Canucks on the ice realize, oh, we got too many men out here.
Roenick goes to the bench.
Roenick goes skating back to the bench to get off the ice, leaving the Canucks at 5 skaters
4
now.
forwards, though.
But that's it. They were shorted defensemen on that goal from Rantanen. Was that the winner or the
that was the
insurance
4-2.
goal?
I think it was the insurance
goal.
Yeah.
So it may not have counted anyways, but that is bad bench procedure from Adam Foote and his staff. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that night for night I have seen the Vancouver Canucks, quote unquote, out-coached a lot. I would need to dig a little bit deeper before I was going to go down that boulevard. But I think and we talked about this last week with guys who do know the X's and O's a little bit, the Frank Corrados, the Cam Robinsons, who are able to bring us deeper into this conversation, and that is the system that Foote wants to play with man-on-man checks and more skating and more reading and hockey IQ, as opposed to a more, zonal system that Tocchet and some other coaches favor, which I guess is a little easier to digest intellectually, a little easier to digest in terms of your movements and your skating. Well, that's not working. I mean, we gave you the stats about where the Vancouver Canucks rank in terms of goals allowed and expected goals allowed, and it's right at the bottom of the NHL standings. So, yeah, I mean, and the thing that gets me about that is that the stories I heard a few years ago about how sick to their stomachs Rutherford and Alvin were watching Bruce Boudreau conduct Vancouver Canucks games and practices, that he was a coach who was not close to the level that they were looking for in terms of how they wanted the Canucks to go about preparation and planning and practice habits, and then in-game on the defensive side, because, of course, Boudreau's teams have always played a more freewheeling up and down puck possession offensive. So these two guys took such great objection to that Rutherford couldn't keep his yap shut and denigrated his coach at every turn. And now he's sitting there and he's watching this from this head coach, making rookie mistakes, playing a system nearly a third of the way into the season that's getting them crushed.
It looks, as I said earlier, it looks very Boudreau-like, and this is from a defensive core group of players, at least from the actual defenseman side of things, that we have seen play a defensive style of play, that we have seen lock it down and prevent goals from going in. So it doesn't appear like it's a personnel issue per se.
I mean, that group of 6 defensemen and your goaltenders, even without Thatcher Demko, should be good enough to
be average at least.
Exactly.
Now,
suppress some goals, suppress some scoring.
You could say that the defensive prowess of the forwards is chief to blame. There's maybe an argument to be made there, but I need to see that argument laid out as to how that can have such a catastrophic effect. Mm-hmm. It's not good. I mean, it's just too many damn goals. And as much as they are scoring more than we thought they would, they can't score 5 a game. Like, that's too much to ask of them. And we went over their goals for and goals against over the last dozen games, and they allow a minimum of 4 goals per game. A minimum of 4 goals a game right now in the last dozen. What are you going to do with that? You're asking them to score 4 to get it past regulation.
We are still waiting on coach down at Rogers Arena. This is quite interesting now. Okay, we'll get to him in a second.
Sure, we'll say it's nothing.
Yeah. Just getting back on the Whitecaps match for a second. I could be mistaken because I don't have a good enough handle on soccer strategy and tactics to, be able to at all times look out there and see who's orchestrating this, that, and the other thing, the subtleties of the game, the nuances. What did you think of Müller on Saturday? Like, he was far from otherworldly, right?
I thought he was good in the first half, and like everybody was, and he said himself, he said we gave the ball away, myself included. They weren't able to adjust to the LAFC adjustments at half. But I mean, I thought it was just a good, balanced overall effort in the first half. I don't think he stood out.
Well, that's what I mean.
I thought he was good.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Is Sonny, the Korean international, stood out, grabbed his team by the scruff of the neck, right?
But after 50 very quiet minutes,
yes. When it became DP time, designated player time to make the big plays, Sonny stood out. I think it's such a great harbinger. Yeah, until he missed the penalty. I thought it was such a great harbinger for the Caps that they didn't need Thomas Müller to be otherworldly.
No.
Against a very good team. Again, a team that had beat them 2 straight years in the playoffs, and it's effectively turned into the flagship franchise for Major League Soccer, certainly the Western conference.
Well, and because of the way it all unfolded, like honestly, this is another reason to be optimistic for the Whitecaps for next year. Like Kenji Cabrera is great. He is fabulous. Next year, Kenji Cabrera is going to be given a different role, and Kenji Cabrera is going to be very good for the Whitecaps. He didn't even come off the bench. Like they didn't use Kenji Cabrera because the way the game unfolded. Tate Johnson, this guy was marking Messi during the Champions Cup. Sat on the bench for the duration of the game.
Yeah.
You know, they're a deep team.
Yeah, we should mention, because I think a lot of people were there for the event Saturday and are basically catching up on Vancouver Whitecaps FC now that they have reaced the Final
Akin to
Four
Blue Jay Mania a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, folks, you missed a spectacular season.
Yes, if you're
They
late.
were on the ball all season long. They scored goals. They played beautiful soccer. As Blake mentioned, they were a deep team that everybody took a turn of stepping up and being the hero. So we spread love all over the place. Let's shout out our boy Ralph Priso for the work at center back, 120-plus minutes. He's a converted midfielder. He's played like a half dozen games at center back, scored a huge goal a couple of weeks ago, and now has been a stalwart, invaluable to their defensive effort. You mentioned Tate Johnson, the rookie, middle of the first round pick. These guys don't often make much of a mark in MLS, let alone in their first season.
As a 19-year-old.
19-year-old has been invaluable at left back, another position where they had a ton of different injuries over the course of the season. Poor Halbouni gives his ACL in this match.
And his 10 minutes that he put out there were great.
Were very good. Mm-hmm. They were missing their backup striker on Saturday, Daniel Rios, to injury. Their third-string striker, a teenager from Edmonton, Ryan Alume, came up with big moments and a big goal this year.
Yeah.
So just about position for position as you went around the formation with the Whitecaps, you have a starter, but you have somebody who has played in that spot this year who has given them big minutes, good minutes, contributions to get them to where they were.
Well,
folks, at this time last year, we were sitting there going, what a massive gamble for the Whitecaps. This is the sort of move you make as a last-ditch desperation. Let's hope a new coach from Denmark who's got zero Major League Soccer experience can do better than a coach who had been reasonably successful here and was absolutely adored by their public in Vanni Sartini. And they made the calculated decision that we can get more out of this player group with a different coach. And right from the jump, despite the lack of familiarity, both him with the players, both the players with the way he wanted to play, it started to work. I mean, it was just absolutely perfect, blessed. Like, choose whatever word you want to choose here, but you don't normally see a team and a new coach, and the Canucks are an example here, where it looks like it's been hand in glove for years, Blake.
Well, and never mind the fact that you've got your stalwart central back in Ranko Veselinovic gone for the year, and Sam Adekubi as well.
That's right. 2 of the 4 would-be starters on the back line have been lost for the year.
In the match itself, for all of extra time and the penalties, the MLS Defender of the Year is unavailable. Tristan Blackman, red carded.
He was not very good before that either. I mean,
first half again was good. But second half terrible.
He really struggled. In fact, Paul Dolan was sitting there beside us, and Paul knows more soccer he's forgotten more soccer than we'll ever know. He was calling for that substitution a lot earlier. He saw the trouble coming.
So the Whitecaps closed that match out without the MLS Defender of the Year, without a World Cup legend in Thomas Müller, who comes out of the match at the end of regulation, without a Canadian World Cup starter, like Ali Ahmed is likely to be starting the World Cup for Canada, and without the MVP sort of scorer in Brian White. Like those, like how?
I know.
If I told you they're going to survive extra time and win in penalties without those 4 guys,
forget it. Not a chance. Okay, we're done waiting for Adam Foote down at Rogers Arena. This is going to be interesting. I think you're right. I'm sure they'll say it's nothing, but it sounds like a something. I mean, you don't delay this long, and what they've had to tell the media 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if we can get J-Pat on the show tomorrow. Let's get to today's Bet365 bets of the day, Blake. And I don't know what to say about Friday other than, for whatever reason, it was clear in my mind it wasn't going to be easy for the Caps. Mm-hmm. So we picked the 2-2 overtime results. Sure enough, it played out that way.
Well, if you had actually plugged in 2-2, you would have even got a bigger number. You just went with the draw.
Yeah, fair enough on the odds.
If you had actually gone with the...
I said draw, and Blake said, what score? I said 2-2.
I mean, your number there would have been...
Oh, yeah. It's like I'm going back to that well. Let's see some extended drama tonight, huh? San Diego, Minnesota, they've played 2 2-goal games this season, so it's time for a close one. I'm picking the tie tonight, a game beyond regulation, just so they know the feeling as well. Draw. Either team to win beyond regulation pace, plus 333 on the other Western Conference semifinal tonight, Minnesota at San Diego.
I'm also going with a draw, but for a different motivation, different tie-in. Hello, Team Tank. It's Blake here. With the Vancouver Canucks now vying for the worst record in the National Hockey League, you need everybody else around them to start picking up points. And it just so happens today that the Blues and the blue shirts are going toe-to-toe at Madison Square Garden. You need both of them to get points. Who cares who wins at this point, but everybody needs points tonight. So this one gets past regulation as well. Plus 300, St. Louis and New York.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365, whatever your bet. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. We'll catch up with J-Pat tomorrow. Axel Schuster coming up next. Secure some price from the historic Wall Center.
This segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. Imagine waking up every single morning knowing you've got 72 kilometers of electric driving. You know that you're not stopping at the gas station that day. It's as easy as that, and you get to do it in the cockpit of a spectacular car. Great drive. You have to experience it. Go to your Pacific Toyota dealer and get a test drive with the brand new Toyota Prius. You can get an SE for $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months, $3,600 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today.
And we are joined now by the CEO and sporting director of Vancouver Whitecaps FC. The record says that Axel Schuster is 53 years old, but he was telling us he feels a little bit older
75
than that.
now. 75 officially.
Saturday's match. How are you, Axel?
I'm doing well, actually. It's a great week. It's a great moment to be here at the Whitecaps and work for the Whitecaps, although it was very nerve-wracking at the weekend. But with that outcome, I take all of it.
Yeah, congratulations. How did it feel watching the proceedings from your vantage point?
You know, it was a roller coaster for everyone in the stadium, including me. And the first half was excellent. And I can only say the best things about Jesper, how he prepared the team with his staff and how the players executed this. And then it's what a playoff game is, and that's the beauty of having playoffs. The opponent is changing things and playing all or nothing, because there's nothing to lose for them anymore, but a lot to lose for us. And they get this one goal. We missed this huge chance to score the third one with Tristan. That would have finished and closed the game. And then it's a glorious and very special moment from Son scoring this amazing free kick. And it needed this special moment from Son to score the 2-2 and get it in extra time. And then I have to say, and I want to be very clear here, I said that to everyone in my organization, no one has to feel sorry and no one has to say that we have been lucky in extra time. Because for two reasons. We have been also very unlucky that we get a red card, we bring in a centre back, and this centre back gets an ACL injury while he tries to save his team. So we had to play with 2 men down. And then there's a German saying that you have to work hard to deserve luck, and we definitely have done that. So I think it was luck and unluck was balanced, and so we deserved to get into the penalty shootout, and credit to the team to have that nerves and to execute that so well.
We not the first time BC Place has been packed with 50,000 plus this year, Axel, but as Thomas Müller told us last week, this time it's for us as opposed for Lionel Messi. What did it mean to you to see 54,000 in the building on Saturday night?
It means a lot. I mean, every little thing means a lot right now. The attention that we get, the amount of people that are connecting with us, the amount of good wishes that I got in the city, walking through the city, and then to see how quickly the stadium has been sold out. We had already sold more than 35,000 before we even knew that we play LAFC. It was something we were dreaming of from the first day I'm here. To rebuild this, to rebuild our reputation, to rebuild the excitement for this club. I know that this level, a similar level, some more excitement has been there long before my time. And I had always this belief that you can convince those people to come back. And I have said over the years, we have to consistently do a good job, and we have to be exciting, and we have to give everyone no reason not to show up. And to see that now happens, I would say more consistently. We had also a very, very good crowd against Dallas already in the playoff game. We are the team with the biggest crowds in this playoff run. And if we have another home game, we will be sold out again. Everyone had to start to reserve and book his tickets for a home game scenario, and we already have no capacity left. So it's electric, it feels electric, and it only feels good because we do this for the people in Vancouver, and we want that it matters for the people in Vancouver.
This is officially a deep playoff run. You have unfinished business. You still want to win 2 more matches and win MLS Cup, but I think we can qualify this. It's the deepest your team has ever gone, but it's also just objectively, when you're into the final 4 teams, this is a deep playoff run. Now, when you signed Thomas Müller, did you sign him with an eye to do this season, or did you think it would be something more modest in terms of success in the playoffs this year with an eye towards next season? Did you think it would come this quickly?
We have done a few things where we all look so genius afterwards. So I'm taking that, but I also want to be very honest. We are making mistakes, and we try to avoid to make too many mistakes, and we try to be more often right than wrong. You have all heard me saying, you have been on the stage, by the way, when I said when Thomas came, we wanted also to sign Thomas because we have been twice in the first round of the playoffs playing against LAFC, and we thought there was 1 inch missing, and we think that Thomas can be the key to go this inch further. So now, of course, it was exactly the scenario again. We play LFC, and it was the 1 inch that is now on our side this time. We all had a good feeling about our team. We brought in Thomas not in a broken environment. We brought him into a team that already was first in the Western Conference, had reached the Champions Cup final. And I always said that I still feel that in the second half of the season, we haven't been very often lucky. We had a lot of injuries. Some of the injuries came from the national team appearances of our players. We are still at a point yet where our team is far from 100% fit and ready. And our biggest quality is that we have this next man up, and whoever comes on does a great job, and that we stick together as a team, and that we are absolutely okay with suffering sometimes in the game, as we have done the last 30 minutes of this game, and working hard. And for me, Andres Kuba's performance on Saturday was, I would say, outstanding, and also, I would say, the blueprint of what the Whitecaps are standing for. Somebody who is winning every single one-on-one situation and won 1 million of balls, and he doesn't even want to get the credit for it. He just sees that as the part of this job and as part of a job in this team.
We keep thinking that as your team gets a little bit healthier, that Ralph Priso has seen his last day as a center back. I think that may not be the case here now that you've got Bilal down with the unfortunate injury, and I think everybody feels for him, obviously, but with the suspension now for Tristan Blackman as well. Jesper Sorensen has his work cut out for him once again to figure out this back line.
Yeah, and again, it feels like it's another additional challenge that we have, but we have managed that very well. And I have full trust in the coaching staff, in Jesper, but also in our players that we will have a team on the pitch that will compete, whoever the opponent is, and a team that will not give up for any centimeter on the pitch. And yeah, we will have to see what's the best solution for all of this, how to put the team together. We have also the one or the other player who is back. Brian White was back on the pitch. That was good to see. And Goldie could play a significant amount of minutes. So we will have 11 players, and whenever we have 11, whenever we have 11 Whitecaps players on the pitch, we compete, and that's
right.
That's it. Yeah.
Apparently
Well
9
done.
works too.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, you can compete with 9 as well. I'm guessing that means Jodrik Pupa or Sebastian Schonlau is going to have to play at center back, given where you're at with the red card and the injury, huh, Axel?
I stay out of that business. That's something I leave to the coaching staff, to the amount of training that we have to prepare that, what kind of tactical formation. I think first we have to wait. Do we play, actually? We will find out this evening who will be our opponent. Both teams have total different styles and total different approaches, and we probably then also have to see what works best from our side. But we have everyone who is playing. I mean, shouldn't forget that Tate hasn't started in the last game, and he has played in a lot of very important games for us, and we have been very successful with him. And Matthias Laborda has played centre back before and has done very well with that. So, as I said, as long as we have 11 players and can put them on the pitch, I'm not worried about us competing in the game.
Axel, I'm interested because, I mean, you came to us from Germany all those years ago. You have one of the most famous figures in all of German sport playing for you now. When you call home and talk to friends back in Germany, what are they saying? What are they noticing about everything that's happening here in Vancouver with yourself at the helm and, of course, Thomas playing so magnificently in your midfield?
They know everything what's going on, and I have to say, as soon as the game is over, there are articles in the 2 main papers in Germany. Bild News, what is the biggest newspaper in Germany, has always right away online an article of Thomas on the front page, and Kicker Sports Magazine. He just did a big interview there. People know very well what's going on. They exactly know where we are in this playoff run and what's happening. And I get a lot of messages. People reached out to us when the cup final is. I'm not answering that because we go one step at a time. But yeah, Thomas is not only in general in this sport one of the most followed and most rewarded and known players in Germany. Obviously, he is maybe of all the active players the most famous face still. And so you can imagine that everyone gets the message there and understands what's going on here. And I can tell you that everyone in Germany is cheering for us and wants him to do well, because Thomas is a very, very liked player, because the way he is here, he was his whole career, somebody who embraces a country, a city, a club, and who is so good in everything he does also off the pitch.
We chatted with him last week on the show, and the amount of German comments that came afterwards were pretty shocking. You're right. Everybody seems to know exactly what Thomas Müller is doing here with the Whitecaps. Last question for me. With all that's going on, away from your direct employ, your main focus is, of course, on the pitch, but you have off-the-pitch responsibilities to a degree as well. How does this, do you think, affect the world of the stadium, the world of the ownership, the fact that you guys are doing what you're doing right now and putting 50,000 people in the stadium with regularity?
Yeah, look, I'm not getting tired of telling that this club is it means something to the people in Vancouver, and I think that the latest weeks and I would say, other than also the amount of people that have been in the stadium, the amount of followers, the amount of interactions we have seen also on your channels and everywhere, are proving that this club means something to the people in British Columbia. And we are a club that pulls 54,000 people into a stadium and way more in front of screens and following what we are doing. And so I think it is also the duty of a province of politicians to work with us on solutions that give us a setup that allows us to compete and to survive in our business. Because we are not asking for any unreasonable, we are not asking for any gift, we are only asking to get put into a position that allows us to compete and to be in a setup that is an average setup in this league. We don't want to have any super benefits. We want to be treated like an average club in this league gets treated, and for that we are fighting.
Hugo Lloris would like grass, by the way.
Yeah.
What did you make of his comments?
I answered this in a different way. When we played against Miami and they lost here, Lionel Messi after that gave us credit for the way we have played, and he has said that we deserve to win. I have seen Son making very positive comments about this game and how great this game was for MLS, even if they lost it. So it's okay if somebody else makes a different comment, then he has to stand up for that.
Yeah, they had 11 players upright, erect, playing the game as well. Right, Axel? Yeah. It's about competition. Great answer, sir. Marvelous. Thank you for the time. Congratulations on Saturday night. It was a huge boost to the city, a memorable night that I think few Vancouver sports fans will ever forget. Appreciate this, Axel. Best of luck this week. Secure some price from the historic Wall Center in the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. Game night, make it a game weekend. Turn that ticket into a downtown getaway with a special Secure some price rate. Call the Wall, 604-331-1000. Say you heard it here. Some blackout date supply based on availability. As mentioned earlier, the Whitecaps could still host the West Final and MLS Cup if results break their way this week, starting tonight in San Diego, where a Minnesota upset win would see them travel to BC Place Saturday for the MLS Western Conference Final. Caps are already selling tickets to this game. The upper deck is already open. If San Diego wins, the tickets will be refunded. San Diego, an expansion team, the only team to finish above Vancouver in the standings in the West this year. They could also host MLS Cup. Now, look, this would take some doing. But if they beat either Minnesota or San Diego in the West Final, and NYCFC gets past Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, then MLS Cup would happen right here at BC Place on Saturday, December 6th.
Normally I would say, hey, that's completely possible, completely doable, except Miami looked pretty freaking good.
They destroyed Cincinnati in one Eastern Conference semi. Was it 4-0? 4-1?
4-0, yeah.
And NYC with an upset victory over the Philadelphia Union, who won the Supporters' Shield. It's a plucky group that scored and hung on and hung on and hung on some more.
Yeah,
for the win.
It's a lot. So, also a lot, by the way, flights down to San Diego. should San Diego win and you want to head down there, a quick boo on Google. $1,200.
What?
The cheapest flight I can find for Friday to Sunday.
Could you fly in cheaper to L.A., commit to traffic, and just inch your way down?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably true.
I'm just glad your voice is holding up for this show.
Well, somewhat. Way cheaper to L.A., but then you got to rent a car
And
drive.
inch your way down the freeway. Yeah. I got a sense that something different was at hand on Saturday and benefit the home team. I walked up to BC Place through Terry Fox Plaza. It was raining. There were very long lines. And then I got in the line, and I was like, wow, this line is moving really fast. As we know, BC Place has had some struggles in the past with big crowds and the entrance gates. But I was processed very quickly, Blake. And then when I walked in, I was expecting to see big, chunks of empty seats, a late filing Vancouver crowd. And like 10 minutes before kickoff, place was virtually full.
Yeah.
I looked around at the anthems. I elbowed Paul Dolan. We were sitting with Paul Dolan. And thanks to Paul and Adidas for the seats. And I was like, Paul, look at this thing. Like, they are absolutely jammed-packed to the rafters on time.
It helps that it's a playoff game. And 2 hours open before kickoff.
Yep. And the club did a very good job of promoting that and let everybody know.
But it helps that it's a playoff game, too. Like, I think our most recent examples of this are things like the Lions home opener and that sort of thing. And, the concerts are at halftime generally for the home opener?
Pregame.
They're all pregame, yeah. I mean, the urgency to be there on time for a playoff game is more so than, any other game. So I think that helps.
And plus, there was nothing going on as well, right? Like, it's a pouring rain Saturday.
Well, that helped for the traffic to get there, I found. But
getting out.
Boy.
Yeah. Then after kick out, shout out to Yohei Takaoka. A couple incredible passes off goal kicks. One to set up Emmanuel Sabi's opening goal. I learned a lot sitting beside Dolly about, those goal kicks and where the keeper needs to put it. LAFC keeper Hugo Lloris spills that ball leading to Vancouver's second goal from Matias Laborda, who scores the clincher in penalties as well. Suns heroics ties it, and what a free kick from the Korean international. That's
why it's there.
That's why you spend all this money on designated players and bring these stars over from Europe in the big moments. The Korean faithful in the crowd went crazy. The LAFC supporters group, and I'll shout them out. There were more LAFC people than I suspected would be here. Pretty good travel contingency there. But game management for a coach who has pushed all the right buttons this year too, Blake, and Jesper Sorensen. He's got Bilal Halbouni up. He's looking to replace a struggling Tristan Blackman who's just crashed into the post, just back from injury. He hesitates on the sub. Blackman picks up that second yellow of the match, creating the 11v10 situation. And, of course, that's 11v9 after Halbouni tears his ACL with the Caps out of substitutes in extra time.
Yeah, there's one move that probably means that we finish the match 11v11.
And that is taking Blackman off earlier.
Yeah. And now maybe Halbouni still gets injured, but, maybe not. The world just unfolds differently at that point.
Oh, for sure.
So, but when Halbouni's defending and gets injured, they're 11v10. So they're scrambling. There's a lot more defending.
11v9.
No. At that point, he's the
10th, and then when he leaves, it's 9.
Yeah. But I'm saying he's already being pinned back because it's 11v10. If that substitution happens, they're 11v11, and maybe they're not being pinned back like that.
Right. And yet somehow through all those chances, attempts on goal, some of them sliding wide by mere inches.
Yeah. Hey, there were some sitters there that they just flat out missed LAFC.
Yes.
And, execution is part of the game. And that's really, it would have been a really weird match for them to ultimately lose. Like, in terms of the old soccer gods and all that sort of stuff. Like, you get given 5 different glorious opportunities, and you can't, we said as we're watching that game, like, I mean, this is destiny sort of stuff here. If they win this game,
they get it to penalties. You've got to like their chances because they have just escaped death a half dozen times.
Yeah, it would have been a really odd game to ultimately lose, given they could have lost so many times before that moment, It
would have been such a cruel Vancouver way for it to end.
Yes, draw it out like that.
Son and Delgado missed their attempts in the PKs. It's another game management issue for Sorensen at penalties, though. He doesn't have his regular takers. Thomas Müller, Brian White, they've been subbed off.
Yeah.
Sebastian Berhalter, Jade Nelson, Ryan Gauld score theirs. Eddie Ocampo gives them life, missing his, but Laborda converts. And that's that. Son takes responsibility for missing his, too, saying he had leg cramps, but no, didn't want to blame them, said this one's on me. Beside him, keeper Hugo Lloris complains about the turf at BC Place, saying lower French divisions have better pitches. He says it's not good for football, it's not good for the fans.
It's his fourth match at BC Place in his history. He's not raised this topic before, but upon a playoff loss, it comes up. And, we can talk about the turf a lot. It's a valid criticism, generally speaking. But when you do it then, it comes off as sour grapes. Again, you played it before.
It is the refrain of losers. It is the refrain of the precious. Competitors just play, regardless of the surface. Competitors understand that there are going to be differences, subtleties when you go to different grounds, parks, stadiums, what have you, around the world, and that you just have to play through. I'm getting sick of this precious soccer player and their bitching and whining about the turf. Guess what, gentlemen? You play an outdoor sport, for the most part, at least we can control the conditions inside BC Place. You're going to have to deal with differences in the firmness of the pitch, in the bounce of the ball, in the wind conditions, and everything else that goes into being an outdoor sport.
Well, if that was an outdoor stadium,
just enough.
If that was an outdoor stadium that on this weekend,
we here in North America,
it would have been an absolute mud bowl. Like it would have been so slippery. You would have had different issues if that was an outdoor stadium. So for him to wish upon a star that it was an outdoor grass pitch, I would have loved to have seen what his crease looked like there.
I'm sorry, the soccer snob has to park this. We in North America are a broad and a diverse sporting public. We play more than just one game. And so we need stadiums that can accommodate all those games.
Also, Thomas Müller signed up to play on that turf.
Lionel Messi said, I grew up practicing on turf.
Yeah.
Then there was the LAFC head coach, Steve Cherundolo, says LAFC lost the game more than Vancouver won it. He's off to Germany, you tell me. Yeah. So the French and German wines will be awfully sour this season. The 2025 labels, you'll want to avoid those. Caps through their first conference final in MLS existence, finally get past LAFC, third try in the playoffs. They've been an excellent team all year, looking for a 1979 redux here when they won Soccer Bowl in the old NASL. I love this from James Cebulski. It took 15 years, but the Caps finally have a defining moment on the pitch in MLS. We were talking about that on Friday, right? And shout out, and Cebul shouts out to the Southsiders and all the loyal fans. Absolutely. The soccer supporter in this town has been bedrock, has been outstanding through thick and thin, mostly thin.
Well, the march to the pitch, I mean, there was a lot of neutral media that were in town because once you get to this stage in the playoffs, you start to get some more national media attending, and people were blown away by what they saw outside the stadium and inside the stadium. Yep. And
rightfully so.
For all the talk of the possibility of relocation, that's why I've said from the jump here, there was I understand why they have to use it as a leverage point, the league. I get it. But there's zero chance they're leaving this market behind.
Well,
this is a ready-made soccer market.
Yeah.
They go somewhere else with dreams that it would grow to what Vancouver already has. They don't willingly leave a market like this.
No, they won't willingly leave, but of course the economics are a shambles that has to be fixed. There are not a lot of great solutions, but Vancouver has been one of the best, if not the best, North American soccer market for a half century now. It's just that simple. We love the game here, and we love Thomas Müller. And there he was speaking to all his followers on social media after a match. After the match, here's the Raum Dieter.
Hi guys, don't know really what to say. What a night! What a night! I'm so proud of the team and be part of this group. I'm very happy for the crowds, for the city. First time ever in the modern MLS era that the Whitecaps, the Vancouver Whitecaps, are heading into the conference finals. I'm very happy to be part of it. What a group of people. The match was so intense, for sure. There were moments we had to suffer. There were moments maybe LAFC deserved a win too. We were lucky in some situations with 9 men, 2 men down in extra time. So everything what makes our sports so beautiful. We've seen it all tonight. Thank you everybody for your support and have a good night. We go on. Let's go Caps!
His voice was a little raspy too.
Yeah, it was. Well, he was like a second coach on the touchline after he was subbed off.
Well, the denouement there was just unbelievable. They played Mr. Bright after the Stand By Me ceremony,
which is their standard.
They went into Mr. Brightside and Seb Berhalter, Brian White, et al. Dancing, singing. The crowd started singing Mr. Brightside along with it. I mean, it was really, it was a very, very cool moment.
It sure was.
And the kind of moment that builds this new moments, right? Like, regardless of what happens, if they raise MLS Cup or not, they created memories. And that's how you create long-lasting, bedrock, foundational fans.
It was everything that a sports night should be, right?
Yeah.
Like the extreme highs, the extreme lows, the can't wait to see what happens next, even if you can hardly stand to watch. Standing shoulder to shoulder with disparate citizens united under a common banner, like everything that we talk about in terms of the value of a sports franchise and what it brings to a community was on hand for the Whitecaps.
It's the kind of match that puts Jeff Paterson and Rob Williams in the third deck, in the upper deck of BC Play Stadium.
Buying tickets to sit in the upper deck for those two, Seahawks win 30-24 in Nashville against Tennessee. Game wasn't as close as the score indicates, but this is still somewhat disappointing for Seattle. They were up 30-10 in the third quarter before the Hawks allow a couple of late TDs. It looked like it was going to be one of those no-doubt wins that you see from a contender versus a basement dweller. Instead becomes a narrower win. Would have liked to have seen them put the hammer down in the second half. Jackson Smith-Njigba continues his record-setting ways. 8 catches, 167 yards, and 2 TDs. This from Adam Schefter. Leads the NFL with 1,313 receiving yards. He's already surpassed DK Metcalf for the most receiving yards in a season with the Seahawks franchise.
Half a dozen games to go.
They have 6 more games to go. Yeah, the 5th player with 1,300 receiving yards in his first 11 games, joining a list of, Hall of Famer Elroy, Crazy Legs, Hirsch, Charlie Hennigan, Tyreek Hill, of course, know him.
Do you think he's getting his shine from the networks?
Well, he's it's hard to get a shine when you're playing the early window game at Tennessee. But I do think you're going to see him talked more about as an MVP candidate starting this week.
Yeah.
And as he continues to keep it up. Also, the 3rd player in NFL history with at least 75 receiving yards in 11 consecutive games. Marvin Harrison, the great Hall of Famer with the Colts, and, his teammate, Cooper Kupp, then with the Rams, have also done that. As for the rest of Week 12, the LA Rams crushed Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield pulled from the game with injury. Rams remain a game up on Seattle in division, and now they take over the NFC lead as well. 9-2. That's because Philly blows a 21-0 lead and loses to Dallas. So Eagles now 8-3, same as the Bears, who win again, beating a Aaron Rodgers-less Pittsburgh Steelers team.
The Rams' schedule is tougher than the Seahawks' schedule, though, over the next few games. So the next 3 weeks is going to be interesting because the Seahawks do not have a tough schedule.
No. Kansas City saves its season with a win in OT versus Indianapolis. New England improves to a league best 10-2. And then you got a big one on Monday Night Football here tonight because, well, for the sake of the Seahawks, you're looking in the rearview mirror at San Francisco, who's 7-4, chance to get to 8-4, which is just a half game back of Seattle. And remember, the 49ers went into Lumen and won on week 1. So they right now have the head-to-head tie break. So it's a big game for the Hawks, who will be cheering for the Carolina Panthers. And suddenly it's a big game for them, too, because the Buccaneers have lost 3 in a row. The Carolina Panthers move into first place in the NFC South if they can get a win tonight in Santa Clara against the Niners. Would improve to 7-5.
6 games left for the Seahawks. 3 are against dreadful teams. Vikings, Falcons, both up next. 49ers to close out the season. The Panthers are the
I wouldn't call them
game.
dreadful. I wouldn't call say a Carolina dreadful.
No, I'm putting them in a different category. But they are average. Like they're a 6-5 team.
Yep.
And then they've got 2 tough ones against the Colts and the Rams. But you want to play the Rams if you're the Seahawks because that's your time to
that's your opportunity to get that game.
So really,
back.
it's there's one standalone difficult game that you don't necessarily want to play if you're a Seahawks fan. That's against the Colts. So they have to rise to the occasion in that one.
Yep. They're home to Minnesota this weekend and then at Atlanta.
Yeah.
So results of the Redwoods Golf Course poll question from Friday. We asked you, will the Canucks finish the season with more wins than losses? Yes or no? The people said
no.
Correct. Percentage?
70.
72. Pretty good, Blake. David, if I'm going to answer no at this point, I might as well not watch the season, so I'm answering yes. Good honesty, David. Josh, yes, they will. The brass will make sure of it. Blondie, doesn't really matter, I suppose, since the playoff miss anyways. Yeah, fair enough. Phil, of course they will. You know, they'll win a bunch of meaningless games near the end of the year to get one game over 500, yet still miss the playoffs.
That's the risk.
Errors and omissions from Friday's program and beyond. In my case, it's a beyond. At one point earlier last week, I referred to the upcoming 3-game road trip for the Canucks. It's a 3-game trip through California. It ends with a game in Denver, so it's a 4-game roadie, all told. And then you were wondering, is there an international break in the schedule next November, even after the World Cup? And the answer is...
There are both of the usual breaks. So, like 6 weeks after the end of the World, not even after the final of the World Cup, it'll be like 3 or 4 weeks after they go back into an international window, 2-week international window in October, September, October. And yeah, the November window exists as well. Now, in World Cup years, will MLS
just go ahead and play through that window?
Because I think if teams gather...
don't.
Like, if you don't make the World Cup, you often play in those windows because you haven't played in the World Cup. But, of course, we know the North American teams will have played. Like, maybe just keep playing.
The one thing I find charming about soccer is that priority is given to a national side. It's kind of like the gravitas of making a Team Canada in Olympic best-on-best hockey or USA hockey. But I sometimes think that the pendulum has to go a little back the other way, more towards, sort of the baseball and basketball teams tend to be a little more leery of allowing their players to play internationally. That November window can't be big for anybody.
This is
the September window can't be big for anybody either. I think you've just got to play through those windows and tell your players with national team aspirations, like, look, okay, and clubs for that matter too, we would like to see our best players on the pitch for league games.
It's been a while since we've had to deal with this, of course, because 2022 was Qatar. It was a winter World Cup.
December World Cup.
So the November window certainly didn't apply there. And then the United States and Canada both missed the 2018 World Cup. So they played in those windows because they wanted to stay sharp. So you have to go all the way back.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky Live, many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. And, of course, support the community sponsors you hear us talking about and keep it local.